Welcome back to Giants Latest, and it is a good day to be a Giants fan. We are on day 2 of the draft, but that doesn't matter because on day 1, with the 3rd overall pick, the New York Giants selected Penn State edge Abdul Carter. And I just know that 99% of the fan base was as thrilled as I was. I have been talking about this for weeks. You guys know. You know that Abdul Carter was my guy. Absolutely thrilled that the Giants stayed put. They made the right move at 3. We are getting back to that big blue wrecking crew defense. That was the defense that won us championships. Do you guys not remember? I don't know. Maybe some of you were too young. But the combination of LT, Banks, when we had OC, Tuck, Strahan, this is what won us Super Bowls, okay? I am so excited. I am so happy that we are going to have an amazing rotational pass rush. We should have a top 10 defense in the league, and we should have a top 5 defensive line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These are the guys. It is time to put up or shut up, okay? And I think they're going to do it. I know this schedule is going to be really hard. It comes out May 14th, by the way. The NFL announced that last night. But I have a lot of faith that we brought in an amazing football player, one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL draft. And this was such a good move by the Giants. There is so much to love about Abdul Carter, and we can go into this in another day because we have other things to talk about today. But I love this pick so much. I cannot explain my excitement. I was thrilled beyond belief last night when the Giants selected him. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way that I do. And I'm just so happy. I feel like we're going to get back to that tough defense that gets after quarterbacks. This is how we're going to compete in the division, okay? We're not going to allow quarterbacks like Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels to run all over us because we finally have a good pass rush. We're going to do it. It's going to come to life. I'm so excited. Let me know how you guys feel about Abdul Carter. I can't wait. This was such a good move. I'm just so thrilled. Right after they drafted Abdul Carter and then Joe Schoen spoke to the media, he announced that the Giants did pick up Kavon's 5th-year option, which is probably a surprise to no one. And I know there was a lot of talk last night that if they take Abdul Carter, they're going to trade Kavon. They're not going to trade Kavon. Not right now, and I don't think that they will during the season. I think that Joe Schoen really values the pass rush position. We have talked about this. He has backed it up with his draft picks in Kavon Thibodeaux, his trade for Brian Burns, and the fact that he just drafted Abdul Carter. Now, out of 4 drafts that he has selected 2 pass rushers in the top 5. And you think he's just going to trade one of them away? Hell no. He values the pass rush. He values that part of the defense, and he talks a lot about how the Giants have to win in their division, and this is one of the ways to do it. It's also, surprise, surprise, how the Eagles won the Super Bowl. It's how good teams win football games. You have to start with the trenches, and I love it. I think re-signing Kavon or picking up the 5th-year option was a great idea. I think Kavon is one of those players who needs a little bit of extra motivation. And if you don't think that bringing in Abdul Carter right underneath him to take him to the next level is going to do that, get on board. Because I think that's exactly what their plan is. And I love it. I'm so excited. I am so thrilled. I think it was such a great move. And like I said, Kavon Thibodeaux's 5th-year option is around $15 million a year, significantly less than what they're paying Brian Burns. And now they've got Abdul Carter. I think we're finally going to have a really tough defense again. And like I said, Kavon is not a bad football player, but he's not great, and he has not lived up to the hype of the 5th overall pick. And I hope that with a healthy Burns and bringing in Abdul Carter, that we are going to see a renewed great Kavon this year. That's what I want. I don't want any of these players to not have good years. I want to win football games. And I think that this is going to be the first year that we're going to get closer to that. We have a really tough schedule, and we've got some questions on offense. And Shane Bowen is the biggest question mark on defense. So I don't know if we're actually going to see the execution and the winning come to life this year, but we are one step closer to getting to that point. And I think that bringing in Abdul Carter and picking up Kavon's 5th-year option, we're one step closer. We're getting there. Now let's talk about the quarterback, because the Giants did it. They traded from 34 to 25 to get Jackson Dart. And I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this. let me preface this by saying that I have not watched the John Gruden interview with Jackson Dart, and it's on my to-do list. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to watch some more tape on Jackson Dart this weekend so we can talk about it next week. I think Jackson Dart has a lot of good qualities, and I think that he has a lot of good traits. Do I think he was worth a first round pick? No. I don't think any of these quarterbacks outside of Cam Ward were worth a first round pick. In the mocks that I did, in everything that I did, I went Abdul Carter at 3 and then trenches. And that is my goal. It was my goal for this Giants team. So the way that I feel about it is I'm mostly just disappointed that that's not going to be the focus now in day 2. And it might be in day 3, but obviously as the days go on and the picks go on, the talent drops off, right? That's how it works. From round 1 to round 4, the talent is obviously not the same. So, I just fear that at pick number 65, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, that there's not going to be a great option there for offensive line. And, what I wanted was offensive line at 34 and then defensive line at 65, and then at 99 and 105, then you can go for your skill players. You can go for your Cam Scatterbo, your Savion Williams, players like that. And they're just not going to be able to do that, which is disappointing to me. So here's what the Giants did in order to trade from 34 to 25. It sounds like there were a couple of reasons that they did this. Number one was they just really like Jackson Dart. Dable says that is his guy. Dable was absolutely thrilled. You could see it on TV. You can hear it in his press conference. Thrilled to have Jackson Dart. He loves a lot of the qualities and the traits that he has and what he's going to bring to New York, and he has a lot of confidence in him. He also said that Russell Wilson is going to be the starter, which he should be, and that should not even be a question, not even a discussion about Jackson Dart or Russell Wilson who's going to be the starter. It's Russell Wilson. So the Giants gave up obviously their 34th pick this year and their 99th pick this year. So they gave up 2 picks this year in order to get 25, and they also gave up a 3rd round pick for 2026. So they traded, they got in to pick 25, and they took Jackson Dart. Now the benefit of this is that they will get the 5th year option for him. And they swept him out from underneath the Rams, which supposedly Sean McVay loved Jackson Dart, and they were going to draft him to sit underneath Matt Stafford. So I think, I feel that Sean McVay is a very good coach, and I think that if he loved someone like Jackson Dart and his plan was that he was going to sit and learn behind Matt Stafford, then the Giants should be doing the same thing. I don't think there's any reason to rush him into playing. I think the reason why they also went after Jackson Dart is it gives them some leeway, and they can say to John Mara, well, we drafted our franchise quarterback, we got our guy of the future. And if I was John Mara, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, I think, but if I was John Mara, I would re-sign them right now to a 2-year deal, because if you just traded into the 1st round to get a quarterback that is your guy, you are diehard on this guy who is a little bit of a project, he has to sit and learn, you better give the coach time to let him do that. Because I think it's a recipe for disaster if they don't do that. If they get fired and we have a new coach next year, I don't even want to talk about that. We're not going to go there. But anyway, I just think that would be the smart thing. If I'm John Mara, I'm extending them now and saying, you got your guy, figure it out and make it work. If he has to sit for this year, which he should do, that's fine. You've got the 5th year option. You've got 4 years where he can start as a quarterback and really develop, learn, and hopefully become the franchise guy. So we're going to talk a lot more about Jackson Dart. So I'm going to leave it at that here, so this isn't an hour long. But ultimately, I'm glad that they got their guy. If that's who they feel so strongly about, I hope desperately that it works out. As a Giants fan, I want it to work out. I am just not personally sold on Jackson Dart, and I am not personally sold that it was worth trading away those draft picks to get him. Now, obviously, if it works out, no one cares about the draft picks, right? But the way that I feel is that this team is in a spot where I think they could have benefited more from getting trenches guys at 34, 65, and then at 99, you can go for those skill players to help bolster the offense too. So that's my thoughts on it. Some people are going to agree. Some people are going to tell me I'm crazy and I'm an idiot because Jackson Dart is the guy. We're all allowed to have different opinions. But you guys let me know how you feel about the Dart pick in the comments, because I was on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Live last night during this, and people either loved it or hated it. So it sounds like, people are on opposite ends of the spectrum. It feels a little bit like Daniel Jones, where people are like, I either love this or I hate this. And I think there was a little bit less of a surprise element to it, which we're going to talk about another day too. Joe Shane, get it together, my guy. Rein in your son and rein in your leaks, because the fact that 5 days before the draft, your son is posting on Instagram and people are leaking that you love Jackson Dart, I don't like that. That's a problem. But like I said, there's next week for that. So let's move along to pick number 65, because tonight is rounds 2 and 3 of the draft. It is only 5 minutes each. Thank God. The 10-minute thing last night, I was like, we're going to be here literally forever. So tonight is that. It starts at 7 p.m., 5 minutes per pick per round. The Giants only have one pick tonight. It's pick number 65. And then on Saturday, it's rounds 4 through 7, and it's from 12 to 6 p.m. And the Giants have pick 105, I believe 140, and then they have 219 and 246. So they have 4 picks tomorrow between rounds 4 and 7. Yes, because tonight's is the 3rd round pick. Okay. I can do math. Anyway, so let's talk about some options that could potentially be available for the Giants at 65. Now, my preference here is trenches. It's either offensive line or defensive line, depending on who's available. Some of the guys that I like, Alfred Collins is a defensive tackle from Texas. He would be a great pick for the Giants at 65. If he makes it out of round 2, there is a possibility that he gets picks in round 2. But like I said, if he falls, I think he's a great option. There are a couple other guys. Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo, I think would also be a great option for the Giants at 65. So like I said, I'm really focused on trenches here. I'm going offensive line or defensive line. The bummer is the fact that a lot of good offensive linemen went towards the end of round 1 last night, and I think the rest of them are going to go tonight in round 2. So if anyone happens to fall, that's an offensive lineman. I think that could work out to the Giants' benefit. A name to watch could be Jared Wilson, an interior offensive lineman from UGA. You guys know how I feel about UGA. Another UGA player who's an interior offensive lineman is Tate Ratledge. So those are 2 offensive linemen to watch. I will give you a third name, Miles Frazier, interior offensive lineman from LSU. Those are some potential options for the Giants at 65. Those are all interior offensive linemen. If we want to talk about a tackle that could be an option for them, Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He did great on one-on-one battles, and he could be a good option for them. And then one more, Joshua Farmer has also been a very popular name, and a guy that people either seem to love or hate. I think it's just the way it goes with some of these players, but he's a defensive tackle from Florida State. So some names to watch. Like I said, some good trench players. That's really what I want to see the Giants do at 65. Let me know what you guys want to see them do tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe because we have a lot to discuss, especially next week.